I never thought my own sister would try to kill me. But lying in the hospital bed, staring at the stark white ceiling, the truth was as clear as the pain shooting through my body. My name is Emma Sullivan, and at 28, I became a victim of my sister Kate's jealous rage. "Emma, honey, you need to understand," my mom whispered, leaning close to my hospital bed, her perfectly manicured nails gripping the railing. "We can't let this get out. Think about your sister's future. Think about our family name." I turned my head away, wincing at the movement. 3 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, and a concussion. All because I'd achieved something Kate couldn't. It started 2 weeks ago when I received the promotion at Morton and Hayes Law Firm. I'd become the youngest partner in the firm's history. Kate, 2 years older and working at a rival firm, had been passed over for partnership 3 times. The day before the accident, I'd installed a smart doorbell camera, a simple security measure after the recent break-ins in our upscale neighborhood. I never imagined it would capture my own sister's attempted murder. It was just a sisterly spat that got out of hand. My mom continued, smoothing her designer dress. "These things happen in families. We'll pay your medical bills, of course." I wanted to laugh, but my ribs protested. A sisterly spat. Kate had waited until I was at the top of my front porch stairs, then charged at me from behind, pushing me with all her might. I remembered her words just before I fell. "You've always had everything handed to you. Let's see how well you do your job with a few broken bones." The door to my hospital room opened and a tall woman in a crisp suit entered. "Miss Sullivan. I'm Detective Morgan. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your fall." My mother stood up quickly. "That won't be necessary. It was an accident. My daughters were just playing around." Detective Morgan's eyebrow raised slightly. "Playing around? Mrs. Sullivan, your daughter's doorbell camera suggests otherwise." My heart skipped a beat. The camera. In all the chaos, I'd forgotten about it. "Camera?" My mother's voice rose an octave. "What camera?" "The one that captured the entire incident," Detective Morgan replied, pulling out her tablet, "including the premeditated nature of the attack and the words exchanged." My mother's face went pale. "You can't. This is a family matter." "Attempted murder is a criminal matter, Mrs. Sullivan," Detective Morgan corrected firmly. She turned to me. "Would you like to see the footage?" I nodded, ignoring my mother's protests. The video was crystal clear. Kate arriving at my house, hiding behind my hedges, then rushing at me with clear intent. The audio picked up every word, including her threat and my screams as I fell. "This isn't what it looks like," my mother insisted, but her voice trembled. "Kate would never." "But she did." I interrupted, finding my voice at last. "And you know what, Mom? This isn't the first time. It's just the first time there's proof." Detective Morgan looked at me sharply. "There have been other incidents." I thought about the accidents over the years, my college application mysteriously getting lost in the mail, my brake lines being cut before an important interview, my allergy medication being switched before a crucial court appearance. Each time Kate had been nearby, always ready with a concerned face and an alibi our parents readily accepted. "Yes," I said firmly, meeting Detective Morgan's eyes. "And I'm ready to tell you everything." My mother grabbed her purse, her hands shaking. "Emma, think about what you're doing. Think about our family." I really looked at her, and saw the desperation in her eyes. Not for my safety, but for our family's reputation. For the first time, I saw clearly how her protection of Kate had enabled years of escalating violence. "I am thinking about family, Mom," I said quietly. "I'm thinking about how real families don't try to kill each other, and they definitely don't cover it up when they do." Detective Morgan pulled out her notebook. "Take your time, Ms. Sullivan. Start from the beginning." As I began to speak, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. The truth, like the security camera footage, was finally going to see the light of day. The days following my statement to Detective Morgan were a whirlwind of chaos and revelations. Kate was arrested at her office, led out in handcuffs while her colleagues watched in shock. The local news picked up the story. Prominent lawyer arrested for attempted murder of sister. Our family name, the one my mother had tried so desperately to protect, was splashed across headlines. My father finally broke his silence, but not in the way I'd hoped. "You've destroyed this family," he said during his only visit to the hospital. "Your sister's career is ruined. Was that your goal?" I stared at him, still connected to IV tubes and pain medication. My goal was to stay alive, Dad. Or does that matter less than Kate's career? He left without answering, his expensive shoes clicking against the hospital floor. That was the last time I saw him before the preliminary hearing. What surprised me most was the flood of support from unexpected sources. My colleagues at Morton and Hayes didn't just stand by me, they offered to represent me pro bono and helped gather evidence. Sarah, my paralegal, came forward with screenshots of threatening emails Kate had sent to my work address over the years. Emails I dismissed as angry venting but now formed a pattern of escalating hostility. "Look at this," Detective Morgan said, showing me printed copies during one of her visits. "Your sister used her work email to research accidents that look natural and untraceable poisons weeks before each of the incidents you reported." The evidence kept mounting. The mechanic who checked my car after the brake line incident had taken photos, standard procedure for insurance. They showed clean cuts, not wear and tear. The pharmacist who'd filled my allergy prescription remembered Kate picking it up, claiming to be my assistant. But the biggest shock came from our childhood nanny, Mrs. Sullivan, no relation. She reached out after seeing the news, her voice shaking as she spoke to Detective Morgan. "I should have said something years ago," she admitted. "When the girls were teenagers, I caught Kate tampering with Emma's asthma inhaler before a swimming competition. When I confronted her, she said Emma deserved to learn what it felt like to struggle. My mother tried damage control, showing up at the hospital with tears and promises. 'We can still fix this,' she pleaded. 'Drop the charges. We'll get Kate the help she needs privately. The family can heal.' I looked at the woman who had dismissed my fears for years, who had taught me that keeping up appearances was more important than my safety. The time for private help was after the first incident, I said. Or the second. Or any of the dozens of times I came to you for help. You chose Kate every time. Now the choice isn't yours anymore." The preliminary hearing was set for next week. My doctor, Dr. Martinez, became an unexpected ally. When my mother tried to have me discharged early, claiming she'd care for me at home, Dr. Martinez intervened. "Your daughter has 3 broken ribs," she said firmly. "Moving her prematurely could cause permanent damage. She stays until I say otherwise." Later, she confided in me. "I've seen cases like this before," she said, checking my vitals. "Families trying to sweep violence under the rug. It never ends well. You're doing the right thing." The security camera footage became the prosecution's strongest evidence. They enhanced the audio, revealing not just Kate's threat, but her mumbled planning beforehand. "This will teach you to take what's mine," she'd whispered, thinking she was alone. "Let's see how well you compete from a hospital bed." My Aunt Alina, my mother's sister, broke ranks with the family to support me. "Your mother did the same thing with Kate that her parents did with her," she told me during a hospital visit. "Excused everything, blamed everyone else. It's a cycle, and you're brave to break it." Detective Morgan kept me updated on the investigation's progress. "We're looking into similar incidents at your sister's previous workplace," she said. "There's a pattern of competitors having convenient accidents. Nothing was proven, but now, the weight of everything, the investigation, my family's reaction, the public attention, would have been overwhelming if not for the strange sense of liberation I felt. Years of walking on eggshells, of doubting my own experiences, of minimizing Kate's actions to keep the peace. It was all over. I was finally being heard, and the truth was coming to light." Dr. Martinez approved my discharge the day before the hearing, but with strict instructions. "You're healing well," she said, "but no work for at least 6 weeks. And Emma?" She caught my eye. "Don't let anyone convince you that speaking up was wrong. Your x-rays tell the real story, and those stairs could have killed you." As I packed my hospital bag, I found a card from my junior associates at the firm. Inside, alongside their well wishes, was a simple message. "Your strength in standing up to family violence has inspired us all. Some battles are worth fighting, even when they're hard." Looking at that card, I realized this wasn't just about Kate anymore. It was about breaking a cycle of violence and silence that had poisoned my family for generations. The hearing tomorrow wouldn't just determine Kate's fate. It would decide whether truth and justice could finally triumph over family secrets and lies. The morning of the hearing arrived with unexpected clarity. I sat in a courthouse, my ribs still tender but healing, watching Kate being led in wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of her usual designer suits. She wouldn't look at me, but I could see her hands trembling. My parents sat on her side of the courtroom, of course. My mother dabbed at her eyes with an expensive handkerchief while my father stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched. On my side sat Detective Morgan, Dr. Martinez, Aunt Elena, and a row of my colleagues from Morton and Hayes. The evidence presentation was devastating. The prosecution started with the security camera footage, its crystal clear audio filling the courtroom. Kate's face remained stoic, but I saw her flinch when they played her whispered planning. Then came the medical reports, photographs of my injuries displayed on large screens. Dr. Martinez testified of the severity of my injuries, stating firmly that the fall could have been fatal. In my professional opinion, she declared, this was not an accident. The injuries are consistent with a forceful push, not a stumble or trip. The revelation of Kate's past actions shocked even our parents. The prosecutor presented a timeline of accidents that had befallen her competitors, backed by digital forensics from her work computer. Emails, search histories, and financial records painted a picture of long-term premeditation. Then came Mrs. Sullivan, our former nanny, her voice shaking but determined as she recounted incidents from our childhood. Kate would hurt Emma and then comfort her afterward, she testified. She'd act concerned while emergency services arrived, but I saw her smiling when no one was looking. My mother stood up, shouting, "You were fired for incompetence. Your testimony means nothing." The judge ordered her removed from the courtroom. When it was my turn to testify, I felt surprisingly calm. I spoke about years of escalating violence, of parents who chose willful blindness, of living in constant fear disguised as sibling rivalry. The worst part wasn't the physical pain, I said, looking directly at Kate for the first time. It was knowing my own sister hated me so much she'd rather see me dead than successful. Finally, Kate's carefully maintained facade cracked. She jumped up, her face contorted with rage. "You didn't deserve any of it," she screamed. "Everything came easy to you. I worked harder. I wanted it more, but you always won. You had to be stopped." Her outburst sealed her fate. The judge's verdict was swift and severe. 15 years for attempted murder, with additional charges for past incidents pending investigation. As they led Kate away, she looked back once, not at our parents, but at me. In her eyes, I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear, not of prison, but of facing a world where she couldn't control or harm me anymore. My parents tried to approach me afterward, but Detective Morgan and my colleagues formed a protective barrier. "Emma needs rest," Dr. Martinez said firmly. "Any family discussions can wait until she's fully recovered." Aunt Elena drove me home, helping me settle into my newly secured house. Morton and Hayes had insisted on installing a comprehensive security system during my hospital stay. "You know," she said, making us tea, "your mother called me last night, finally asking questions about her own childhood. Maybe this will break more than one cycle of family violence." The following weeks brought unexpected changes. My story encouraged others to come forward. 3 of Kate's former colleagues contacted Detective Morgan with similar experiences of accidents and threats. My mother entered therapy, though she still couldn't fully acknowledge her role in enabling Kate's behavior. My father sent a letter through my lawyer, a fumbling attempt at an apology mixed with justifications. I filed it away, neither accepting nor rejecting it. Some relationships would take time to heal, if they ever did. Morton and Hayes not only held my position but created a pro bono program for victims of family violence. They asked me to head it once I recovered, turning my experience into a way to help others. 6 months later, I stood in my office, looking at a new photo on my wall. It showed me with Detective Morgan, Dr. Martinez, Aunt Elena, and my colleagues at a fundraiser for domestic violence awareness. These people, not bound by blood but by choice and principle, had become my true family. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Morgan. "Another victim of Kate's came forward. You started a domino effect. Proud of you, kid." I smiled, touching my now healed ribs. The stairs had nearly broken me, but they'd led to something stronger. A life without fear, a voice that wouldn't be silenced, and a truth that couldn't be buried. Sometimes family isn't who you're born to, but who stands with you when the truth comes out. My sister might have pushed me down those stairs, but I rose with an army of supporters who showed me what real family means. I was finally free, not just from Kate's violence, but from the burden of keeping deadly secrets in the name of family peace. And that was worth every